Welcome, welcome, welcome back, everybody, to Rooted Conversations with Jacquese. I really hope that all of you are having a fantastic week thus far. So, today I just wanted to jump right in and talk about conversations that are less about having answers and more about staying present. If you're listening while doing something else, that's fine. But um it could be walking, driving, or just sitting quietly. Just know that I'm glad that you're here today. There's nothing you need to take notes on or nothing you need to fix or solve at this moment. All I need is just your listening ears just to listen. So before we get started and we go any further, I would just like for all of us to take just a quick, small breath. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Just a pause. All right, let's jump into it. So, I wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about lately. Lately, I have been just noticing how comfortable it feels to just not know. Like, just not knowing answers, not knowing what the next step is, not knowing how something will turn out, not knowing when clarity will come. So we don't often talk about enough, I feel like, about how much pressure there is to have answers, especially as adults. There's this quiet expectation that by a certain age, you should have it all together. You should have life figured out. You should have your direction, your purpose, and your plan. And when you don't fall into that category, or when you don't feel like you're on track, then you feel like you're behind. You feel like you've missed the mark on something that everyone else understood an assignment and you didn't. And sitting with that discomfort is hard. I've spent a lot of time just trying to move past uncertainty as quickly as possible, right? Trying to decide fast, trying to label things quickly, trying to turn questions into conclusions. Because sitting in the middle, in the in between, can feel exposed. Uncertainty doesn't give you language you can easily explain to anyone. It doesn't come with a clean story. It doesn't sound confident, when you say it out loud that you don't know. And yet, that's often where the honest work that you need to do with yourself is happening. Is right there in that moment of uncertainty. But the pressure to be certain weighs so heavy on many of us. I think a lot of us, including myself, has consciously or unconsciously felt that uncertainty, that we felt certainty equals safety. That knowing what's next makes us credible. It makes it seem like we got it going on, like we got a plan, we got a master plan, and we got our stuff going on because homegirl over there don't know, homeboy over here don't know, but I know I got my stuff together. And somehow that makes us feel credible. That we having this plan, that we had it all together, from the people surrounding us, that makes you look responsible. It makes you feel like that clarity is just something that you owe the world. Like you owe it to somebody to know it all and have it all together. Especially in professional healthcare settings. Especially in caregiving roles. Especially in leadership roles and when you're in charge of something. Especially when you have people relying on you. Single mothers, single dads. But so when you don't know or you feel like you're failing at something, you feel like you're failing at something invisible. So what I am learning instead, what I have slowly learned is that not knowing doesn't mean I'm stuck. It doesn't mean that you're stuck. It doesn't mean that I'm unmotivated or you're unmotivated. It doesn't mean that I've lost direction or you've lost direction. Sometimes it simply means that we're just still listening. We're listening to ourselves. We're listening to what feels aligned. We're listening to what no longer fits. And that kind of listening can't be rushed, unfortunately. No matter how much we want it to be, it can't be rushed. So I want to talk a little bit about pause versus avoidance. There's a difference between avoiding decisions and intentionally pausing. Avoidance feels anxious. It feels heavy. It feels like running in place. It feels like if we don't know the answer right then, it's a problem. But a pause, a real pause, feels quieter. It gives you room to breathe. It creates space between impulse and intention. And what I'm learning is to trust that space a little bit more. So you may be listening to this and you're like wondering the same thing that I was wondering. Why is this so hard for us? Sitting with uncertainty requires honesty. It requires allowing yourself to say, I don't know yet, without adding an explanation, without apologizing, without rushing to soften it, without having all the answers. And that's uncomfortable, especially if we're used to being dependable. If we're used to being spot on with the answer, prepared or composed. But there's something freeing about letting yourself just be unfinished. So that's considered becoming without a blueprint. And here's what I think many of us are doing. I think we're underestimating how much growth happens quietly. Not when we have those moments when we announce these big decisions that we're making, but in these seasons, when we're still sorting things out, when we're still not wanting to tell nobody that we're trying to figure this out, when we're sorting between what's truly becoming. So, if you're truly becoming, it doesn't always come with clarity first. Sometimes you don't get clarity until after you've allowed yourself to sit in uncertainty long enough for something honest to rise above. And that is the part that drives us crazy, right? So a gentle realization is that there's also something tender about admitting that you don't know. It requires humility. It requires you to letting go of that old version of yourself. It's requiring you to a version of yourself to die that always had the answer. It's time for that person to die. It's time for you to just sit and learn that clarity doesn't always come when you demand it. Clarity got a mind of its own. You might be wanting it to come now, but clarity ain't ready to come yet. It comes when you're quiet long enough to hear what's true, if you can be honest with yourself. And sometimes what true is simply this, that you're still learning, you're still becoming, and that is not a flaw. I don't care what age it is not a flaw. Where you are in your career, where you are in your love life, that is not a flaw. It is a season. So you probably sitting and thinking to yourself, why is she sharing all this information with me? I wanted to talk about this today because I know I'm not the only one sitting with these same thoughts, with these unanswered questions, right? And I wanted to create a space where that's not treated as a failure. Because in some worlds, especially mine, people think you failed, or they think they failed because they sitting in this space, right? Where not knowing is just framed as, something just to fix. So I just wanted to come on here and say that that is okay. That is okay. Don't keep framing that in your mind as it's some human flaw that you need to fix. I want you to be able to see that there's something to honor in that. And that's one reason why I created this podcast. This podcast isn't about rushing clarity at all. It's about allowing truth to unfold in real time and in the time that is needed. Not in your time, in God's time. So in closing, if you're in a season where things feel unclear, where decisions feel heavy, where answers haven't arrived, I hope that you give yourself permission to just pause. And I know that's kind of hard with life and how everything is moving. Like I said in the first episode, everybody has these expectations of us. Everything has to happen fast. Everybody wants things to happen now. But I really, truly want y'all to just give yourself permission to pause. It is okay. If it's not a situation between life and death, it is okay to give yourself a permission to pause. Give yourself time to listen, to breathe, to trust that becoming doesn't require immediate certainty. Sometimes the most honest thing you can say is, I'm still learning. I do not know. And that is okay. I think society has just standardized that it's not okay for us to stay in a learning process. I want to be able to learn something for the rest of my life. I am a person that is hungry for information. Like, I get bored really fast if I'm not learning something constantly. And so I just don't want everyone to feel like that's a character flaw or that's some kind of flaw for you to say, I'm still learning, no matter what age it is. None of us are big enough or bright enough that we cannot still be in a constant state of learning. So, in closing, I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode or conversation resonated with you, you're welcome to stay connected. Whether that means subscribing, sharing, or simply reflecting on what was said. You can follow Rooted Conversations wherever you listen to your podcast. I am now on our iHeartRadio. And all links are located in the show notes. You can find them on my Facebook. You can also find them on Instagram. I also have a link tree posted on my Facebook and on my Instagram page. Please follow, like, share, subscribe so that you can keep up with these conversations and be able to find them and be able to share with other people too. I created this space to share my thoughts and to share things with people. So make sure that you're sharing this as well with people in your spaces that may need just a little bit of motivation through the week. So, Rooted Conversations is a space for thoughtful dialogue, presence, and becoming. So until next time, take care and stay rooted.